G'day and welcome to another rcheli.au heli build and review. So in this box here I have something, to me anyway, something quite special. So recently I sold one of my helicopters. It was my second helicopter I ever bought, and I had a lot of good times with it and a lot of learning curves with this particular heli, but it looked so good in the air, as you'll see by this picture here. But look, the show must go on. The 700 Kraken, it's now gone over to its new owner, and to replace it I have, as you would probably have guessed, the Il Goblin Pro Kyle Stacey edition. So it's SAB Heli Division's latest 700 3-blade offering. And look, going by the success of the Il Goblin Pro that I did a review on a few months ago, I absolutely just love that heli. It just went together so well. It flies so nice, especially after I did a few little touches to it, like the speed up pulley and a couple other things, and it looks great in the air and really easy to work on and maintain. And I thought, you know what, I would really love another one of those, but in a 3-blade. So I, as I have done before, gave Dave at Mad for Heli a call and said, Dave, I want to do a review on one of these new KSEs. And he said, yep, sure, Carl, we can help you out there. So what else would you like to deck it out with? So I wanted to keep the same powertrain on the Il Goblin Pro. I absolutely loved that combo. So I've done the same again. So the Tribunus 3 220 amp speed controller sitting up here. The Scorpion 5022 535 kV motor, big chunky motor of a thing. It's got so much power, and I mean 3 blades is going to draw a bit of extra power than the 2-blade version, so I made sure it's well up to the task. Something that I've tried new this time though is the XPERT KD2 servos. So these are basically the flagship model of what XPERT has to offer. I actually run a set of KD1s on the SAB Maverick that I have here, and they're very lovely servo. And I've actually got the R2 servos and a few other things, and they always mount up well. They're easy to maintain and easy to get support for. So I've always liked XPERT servos, really good. And the other thing that I've done this time as well is these servo horns. So these are an XPERT servo horn. So I'll just bring it up there for you to have a bit better look. So what this is, it's a metal servo horn, as you can see. And normally I'm not a fan of metal servo horns because in a crash, they don't have any give like a plastic one does. So a plastic one will strip or break and save the gearing in your servos. But these ones, they actually have a little clutch inside there. So if there's a massive jolt or anything like that, we'll actually jump over the insert that's inside there. So I thought when Dave told me about this and he first offered it to me, I said, Dave, I don't want a metal servo arm. What are you doing? And he said, no, he said, these things have got a clutch in them. Like, you've sold me. They're priced really well too. So I'm keen to have a look at these a lot more. I actually bought 2 sets, so I can actually put a set on the Il Goblin Pro as well. Anyway, so this review is going to not be as lengthy as the Il Goblin Pro because it's essentially the same heli, but it's going to have a few different pieces in it too for the 3 blades. So what I'm going to do an unboxing like we always do because everyone wants to see how they come out of the box and what's there. And I will go through the build, anything that I notice that's worth mention or anything that's specific to the KSE, I will definitely show you those accordingly. And of course, we'll go through the maiden flight at the end, and I'll do a review as well. Anyway, so I'm going to start unboxing this and let's have a look what's inside. So very familiar presentation, what we see when we unbox the Il Goblin Pro. We have our manual, we have the little SAB cards, we have the flag sticker sheet like last time. There appears, yeah, there's a few, the accessory sheets that are in the manual as well. and a very detailed manual, as you would expect typically of any SAB heli build. So what we'll do is we will put these to the side because we're going to need those later. So just like last time, we have the canopy. It's such a beautiful canopy. I love the way SAB lay out everything, the unboxing experience. I haven't found a heli kit yet that tops these. The unboxing is just great. You open everything up and it's just like, wow, wow, wow. So let's pull out our canopy. So we have a whole heap of other things in here. Battery tray, landing skids, the very unique actually. Oh wow, we'll have to have a bit more of a look at that later, but this is our blade holder. It looks a little bit different to the Kraken that I used to have. Carbon side frames, and let's pull out this beautiful piece. Very lovely design canopy. It's got such lovely curves on the Il Goblin Pro, and Kyle Stacey edition on there, and also on the top. Yeah. Anyway, we'll put that over here so we can keep looking at it. Okay, we have a couple of boxes. So we have a box number 1, box number 2, it says box 2 foam, and we have this box here, box number 3, which I would dare say, let's have a little look. Let's not speculate. Let's see what's in box number 3. Let's do things back to front, shall we? Let's go and have a look at box 3 first, because by the shape of it, I would say that there's 3 blades in here, plus a few other things. Anyway, let's have a look. So the first thing I see is a gorgeous looking tail. Look at that. It's just beautiful. I love the color scheme on this heli. A few other people have said, I don't like it, it's a bit dark. And I thought, well, I fly a Maverick, it's really dark. So anyway, I really like the scheme on this. We have another battery tray. We have our carbon push rod for the tail. And as I suspected, 3 blades. So unlike the Il Goblin Pro, which had the S702 blades, so the 700 and the 2 is for color, and the second series, this one is an S3682. Interesting naming convention. Anyway, but they're the same, a bright orange color, just like the Il Goblin Pro is. And also, in true fashion, 3 tail blades as well. Anyway, I'm going to put those back in the box for the moment, but I'm going to leave the tail over there so we can have a look at it. So box number 1, it has a whole heap of parts, stickers. There's our cable management, cable routing, all those good bits, all that sort of stuff is sitting in there. And then in box number 2, that is our foam, which has our transmission, blade grips, wash plate. What's that? That's the front tail pulley. Gee, the head's really nice. It's got KSE on the top there. Gee, they just keep stepping it up in the aesthetic department with SAB helicopters. They just seem to always looking better and better and better every time that they bring another one out. Mind you, there's a lot of other brands I've seen recently, especially the ones released recently at Rotor Live, that look pretty darn impressive. So nipping at the heels at SAB when it comes to the aesthetics. Anyway, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sort out all of the bags, because one of the things that I love about an SAB build and a lot of other builds as well is that all of their bags are all labeled and sequential, so they line up with the page numbers. So I'm going to lay them all out in front of me so it's all really easy to find. So I'm going to do that now. So here it is. Here's all of the parts bags all laid out in order. Well, pretty close to being in order anyway. There's a couple of little gaps there, but I know where those other bits are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this really, really nice manual out. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to get my blue Loctite, my blue thread locker. I'm going to put a bit on a bag and I'm going to start assembling it. Here we go. One slight little difference I've noticed with the KSE is the transmission's the same, everything else goes together fine. They do add this extra little Derlin bush. So after reading the instructions, it says, for smoother auto rotation, a single one-way bearing can be used. Remove this one-way bearing and replace it with the Derlin bush. So yeah, 2 one-way bearings in here. If you're a auto rotation fan and you love doing autos, then yeah, take it out and put this in so you'll have a lot less resistance on the powertrain. So the front tail belt pulley bolts on there just like the Il Goblin Pro does. And the, as I was saying before, the little thing that I've noticed about the KSE is these little washers here. They're silver on the Il Goblin Pro, anodized black on the KSE. It's the little things. CYCLIC servos that we have there are really digging this black and gold color. Probably very typical of Kyle Dahl, being the man behind Scorpion, but it looks really trick. And these new XPERT servo horns, they actually slip over these little bosses here and then you clamp them up exactly where they need to go, straight out 90 degrees from here with the little servo alignment tool. So yeah, didn't even need to put them on. I can put them on later. But if you don't have those types of servo horns, you need to put the little alignment tool, which I have over here. And before you put this servo rack on, you need to put this tool in here and get the servo horn to line up with this little peg that sits out here. So that's how we go 90 degrees basically from your main shaft. I so love what SAB have done with this servo rack, how it's just 2 bolts that hold it in. There's 2 little locating pins, so it goes on perfectly onto the chassis. So yeah, I really love that design. And the same goes with the elevator mount. So your bracket's already there, so it just screws straight onto there. So easy, 2 bolts that hold it in. Really loving it. I've got a bit of a conundrum though. While I've been looking at this and I've been looking through these and I keep looking over at this canopy and this boom, how good it looks, and yeah, I'll be back. Just wait there, I'll be back. I told you I'd be back. Check it out. We have a whole heap of shiny shine. Look at how that carbon fiber just pops. And the color that's come out of this is just absolutely incredible. Check it out. So what I've done is I've laid a couple of coats of automotive 2-pack clear over the canopy and the boom. So yeah, it's a skill that I have. I can paint out of a spray gun. I haven't done it for a little while though, so I actually had a bit of a practice on a few things, but hey, I am so super happy how that come up. So yeah, it's gone from that very matte looking finish to one that just really, it glistens, and the you know, the finish is very similar to the blades. It has that lovely glossy finish with the carbon weave that you can see underneath it. But I just love how the orange and the silver and the white, all of that, it's just made the colors so much more vibrant. Yeah, look, if you have the opportunity to lay a coat of 2-pack clear over it, go for it. It's not something that's easy though if you don't have any experience, so take it to an automotive spray shop or something like that, or if you have some experience, try it out on something else first, but the results speak for themselves. So our side frames are on now. Everything's locked in place. I don't know whether this is, well, I'm pretty sure this is unique to the Kyle Stacey edition, but yeah, these black anodized recessed washers look so cool. I really, really like it. Don't know if that was Mr. Stacey's idea or not, but I'm digging it. The other thing that I think I pointed out when I did the Il Goblin Pro review are these little spaces that are sitting in here, so that they've actually got little flats, little edges on there, like almost like a hex nut, and the inside of the frame rails, it has basically a female side of that, so it just locks in there perfectly and straight, and everything is just, the tolerances in the holes where the bolts go through into the frame is just so precise. You don't have to worry about making sure that everything's flat, so everything gets mounted perpendicular, or if anything isn't parallel, it just goes together. I just love where SAB has gone with their builds now with their helis. Are just so good, so good. Anyway, the build continues. So now we've reached the point, page 11, where we're going to assemble our 3-blade head. So yeah, very familiar looking head. There's a few little changes in there that I've noticed. Probably nothing too significant, but it's very nicely designed, and it's even got Kyle Stacey edition KSE on the top there, the initials, which looks pretty cool. My 700 Kraken never had that, but then again, the Kraken 3-blade was never ever marketed as a Kyle Stacey edition. It was marketed as a 3-blade Kraken, so there was no KSE markings on it anywhere. Even though the The Goblin 3-blade preceding that was marketed and sold and identified as a KSE. And the Raw 3-blade was also marketed and sold as a KSE and identified as a KSE. But the Kraken never was, so I'm not too sure what happened there. But anyway, the Il Goblin Pro Kyle Stacey edition certainly is, and only too fitting to have KSE everywhere. Anyway, so I'm going to put that together now. Very familiar process. Pins go in, grub screws, make sure we put blue Loctite on those. Radius arms with the bearings with green locking compound goes on those. Very, very important. We don't want those moving inside the housings. Yeah, the O-rings, the Derlin dampers all go in. Pretty straightforward, and we need to grease certain parts. Anyway, I'm going to do that now. One thing you can do here when you're putting these little bearings inside the radius arm, so handling them with your fingers and putting on the retaining compound, it can be quite challenging. So what I do anyway is I use one of my drivers, just this 1.5mm driver, and I just put the bearing on the spindle and then just drop a little bit of the retaining compound on there. And then you get your radius arm and just drop it in there and just give this a little nudge. And there it is, easy. I'm going to start assembling the blade grips now. So the bearing that's on the end is already assembled and it has green Loctite already in there, the retaining compound. So like the bearing that I showed you before, I'm actually going to use this 3mm driver to put on the inside here to put the bearings through. Hasn't that got a lovely ring to it? Now, one thing I want to point out is in the manual, it says that the larger ID, inside diameter, of the thrust bearing washer needs to go in first. So when you look at both of those washers, it's actually very hard. It's not that easy to see the difference which one. So the easiest way to find it is just tip it over the shaft, the spindle shaft, and give it a little wiggle. Now this one isn't moving much, so I'm going to assume that's not the one that I want. So I'm going to put the other one on, and oh yeah, that's got heaps more slop in it. So that's the one that needs to go first. So I'm going to drop this one in here, and that sits on the bottom. And then I'm going to get my bearing, and it says to put some grease on there. So even though they are oiled, it says to grease them. Yeah, they would just oil them as part of the manufacturing process so they don't rust while they're waiting to be purchased and installed. So I'm just going to put a nice little bit of grease in here, rub it all in. Now, according to the, you can see in the manual, the open side of the casing actually goes down onto the larger ID bearing. So the larger ID bearing's gone in first. We'll drop this one in over the top like that. We'll get our next one. I'm just going to use the grease that's on my fingers here. I'm going to drop that one on top, make sure that the race, the actual indented part of the washer goes onto the top, and just have a little eyeball in there, make sure that's all running right. And then we have a washer that's got to go on here. So there's some washers, and there's also some shims that are in this packet. So the washers are the thicker ones. So we'll put that washer on next. And then we have a bearing that goes over the top. So there's a full case bearing there. So I'm going to slide that one over the top, and it drops down in like so. And once it's all ready to go on, the first thing we need to do onto the spindle shaft is we need to put on one of these washers, and it actually has a little lip on there. So I haven't seen these before. These are new. These weren't on the Kraken anyway. So it has a lip on here, and the manual says that it needs to be facing lip facing bearing side, so facing out. So I can see the lip there, so I'm going to slide that on first. I'm going to take my driver out, and then I'll just slide this on here, and it goes in nicely. So all we need to do now is get our final little washer, so this small one here, and I'm going to put that on this bolt. We'll put it in here, do it up. Nice and tight and nice and smooth, just how we want it. Okay, so I'm going to do the other two. And there it is, our 3-blade head. All of our pitch link arms are on, and the little balls are in, and all Loctited up, all ready to go. One thing I love what SAB have done with this new blade grip design is these little, you can see these rings on the blade grips. So inside the pitch link arms where it goes on, there's a couple little square tangs that actually sit in there. So it will go on perfectly every time. Unlike the previous generation where they didn't have anything like that. And if you had a crash and it used to flare these out a little bit, trying to get this back on and to stay in one place was almost difficult, well, almost impossible. You had to get new ones or try and fix them somehow. So a lot better design. They go in first time, every time. Yeah, love it. Really, really nice. So we're now up to page 13. So got the swash plate out from the foam. It's actually the last piece that's on the top foam. The only thing that's left in the foam now is the motor brackets. So I'm going to open bag 13, which has all our little balls in it, and I'll install those. That goes onto the main shaft on the frame, and then the head goes on, and it's going to really start looking like something. There's our head, 3-blade head, all assembled, all connected, everything's tightened up, Loctited. I also put the XPERT servo horns on the servos, so they're all centered, as I explained a little earlier what I did with the Flybarless. So yeah, it's looking really, really nice now. So that takes us now up to page 15, where we're going to put on the lower side frames, and then I'm going to go straight to page 16 where I'm going to assemble the landing skid and put it on as well. So our KSE now has some feet to stand on. Anyway, it's looking great, sitting nice and stable. It's going together very, very well. So over to page 17, which we've done with the landing gear put on. Now it's come time that we install the motor. So as I was saying before, earlier in the video, I'm putting on the same 220 amp Tribunus 3 Scorpion ESC and Scorpion 5024 535 kV motor that I put on my Il Goblin Pro is going to go on this one. So yeah, it's been a fantastic setup. I really love how it's been on the Il Goblin Pro. So I'm going to stick with the same, go with what works, go with something that you know is quality, and I've had great service with Scorpion, so I'm going with this one. So now I'm going to start putting the ESC plate together. So this is a nice carbon fibre frame, two little struts that get bolted on the bottom there to reinforce it into the frame. Got a little bit of rain happening here at the moment, so I hope that's not coming in too loud on the video. But anyway, the show must go on. And as I mentioned earlier, the 5024 535 kV Scorpion HK5 is going in. This was the one that I was running in my Il Goblin Pro. And I've decided to change the power plant in that for the slightly smaller 4525 535 kV HK5. Yeah, so the 220 amp ESC has also come out of the Il Goblin Pro and going into the Kyle Stacey edition. So without further ado, I'm going to put all that in. So here's the 220 amp ESC. Now, as I was saying, it's already wired up, all ready to go. So I've got my female connectors on the end with the heat shrink on, and the two quick connectors for the SAB quick connect system. The tray, it says in the manual, we put this on here first, and then basically it gets all bolted in together, which makes installation a lot easier. You don't have to worry about trying to reach up underneath to get any nuts or anything like that. So I'm going to do that now and connect everything up. I'm about to put the cover, the locating cover, on the main power leads for the quick connect system. One thing I wanted to point out here, and I made this mistake on my Il Goblin Pro, is that the little bag that comes in bag number 21 has got a little packet inside there with 6 screws, or six little bolts, and 4 nylock nuts. Now, the nylock nuts and 4 of those screws, which they are for the mounting hardware for your ESC. Now, the Scorpion provides you all of that, so I've used the one Scorpions. That they're actually slightly bigger bolts, so I chose them. I thought they were a lot better. But the thing that I want to point out here is that 2 of these 6 bolts are slightly shorter than the other. And what I did on my Il Goblin Pro, I accidentally, or I didn't realize at the time, I used a longer one. And when I screwed it in here to clamp these two pieces together, it started pushing through on the other side, and you can see where it's protruded through on the plastic. It's yeah, a bit ugly, but apart from that, it's still fully functional. But I just wanted to point that out. Make sure that you lie those screws out and you identify the two screws that are shorter than the other four, and they are the two that go in here that clamp it together. Now we have the quick connector all bolted in. It's all there. Now SAB give you 4 nice long cable ties. Fortunately, the Scorpion Tribunus 3 mounts absolutely perfectly on the ESC mounting plate. I love these new generation ESCs. Everything just seems to fit, unlike the older ones where you had to sort of make makeshift solutions to get it to fit really nicely. These just bolt on like they were designed for it. So yeah, great work there. So what do we need to do now? Oh, we're actually come time to put our tail rotor together. So I'm going to do that, and what do we got after that? Ooh, probably put on a nice shiny boom. Anyway, I'm going to keep going. So there's the first tail rotor blade grip that's on the spindle. Now, one of the things that they say in the manual is there is a C shim. So it's it almost looks like a little buckled washer. It's very small. It says to put that in in case you have some play. So once you lock everything up, and if you can basically move it back and forth to put that shim in, well, I've got zip on mine, so no C shims going in for me. This one I just put in does have a bit of play in there actually, so it looks like I'm going to have to be a bit selective about where one of these C shims go. So I'm going to pull this out and put a C shim on. There's no more play there now, but it's as you would expect, it's now a bit firmer. I think that will bed in nicely after a few flights anyway, so that'll be fine. Lovely. The tail pitch slide is the next thing that's got to go on. And one very important thing to note is that all the bolts that go in uses your green Loctite, your retaining compound. So make sure that we do that. Apart from that, everything else looks pretty straightforward, like any other linkage has ever been on one of these helis. There's our tail rotor all together. ready to spin. There's our tail pulley all put together. Belts on, tail fins on, everything's ready to go. So if we turn the page to page 25, yep, it's time to put our nice shiny boom on. And there's our nice shiny KSE boom, all ready to go onto the main body. Looking really good. Here's the tail belt idler tension pulleys. Oh, sorry, the idler pulley. So that's what it looks like there after you put it together. Fairly simple. It's just a pin and two bolts and a little washer on top. Make sure you Loctite it as well. And this is the tensioner. So there's a teeny tiny little locating screw that you need to put in both sides. A little bit of Loctite goes on them as well. And there's like a little slot in this silver piece here, so it goes in and out. So you can see the indicator there. That's how it works. So it's fairly simple. It just pokes through the hole of the side of the frame. Two holes there where the bolts go through. It's very, very simple. One of the things I really absolutely love about this new 4th generation series of SAB helis is they've just made so many improvements in the design, but they've added a lot of simplicity into it as well, but it just works. So yeah, it's great. So we're now on the home stretch. I've just finished tensioning the tail belt. I didn't think you'd be interested in watching me doing that. It's a bit of a boring job actually. But if you're a bit pedantic with it, you can really play around with the alignment of the tailstock to the point where the belt will run right in the middle of the guides. So yeah, I'm spent a little bit of time doing that, but it's running absolutely sweet. The indicator is right in the middle of that guide at, I think they actually call it 0. Yeah, 0 on this. So negative goes in towards the frame and positive goes out. So I run it right in the middle. Something else that I wanted to bring to your attention as well, and I forgot about this, when I went to put in the boom, the bolts that I had in there, I took them out and then I went to put them back in there. Yes, I'm not perfect. The thing is with videos, you can hide a lot of your mistakes, but I'm not going to hide these things because I think that takes away from the fun of the hobby. You know, you learn these things and it develops skill and you sort of have a sense of accomplishment as well when you work out these little blues that you made along the way. So it was these little bolts here. And I had them sitting in there, and when I went to take them out and put them back in, they weren't long enough. And I thought, well, hang on, what's going on here? And then I looked on page 27 where you're putting the boom in, and there was a packet there with 27 written on it, and I could see the nice little washers and the longer bolts. And I thought, oh, well, okay, why are they there? So I went back to page 25, and yeah, here's these shorter bolts. And it actually says in there, you can use M3x12 screws to aid in mounting the spacer and locking piece to the boom. Remove all screws after complete. So yeah, that's what happens when you don't read the manual thoroughly. So the detail was there. So anyway, if you're watching this and you're going to build your Il Goblin, whether it's a Pro or a Pro Class AC edition, you'll get to that page and you'll go, I remember when Carl did that. Anyway, it's all good. It's all part of the fun. So yeah, so now what I'm up to is the carbon tail push rod for the tail pitch slider. The first time SAB have actually made the carbon rod with the little ends to put your threaded pieces already on there. So normally you have to check the length and you have to 2-part epoxy these on. This is already done, so we just screw it all in and put it on. So wow. I mean, not that I mind doing it, but it's just one less thing you have to do, so it's great. One thing to note though is on the instructions it says to use the retaining compound, which is your green Loctite, so make sure you use that. So when you adjust the ball link on the ends, having that stronger Loctite on there will stop it turning inside the carbon rod. So very important there. Then the next step we're going to do, well, what I'm going to go to right now is putting in the, what do you call this thing again? Keep forgetting what they call it. It is a bearing support, of course it is. So yeah, the main shaft bearing support, that sits under there, because once we've got the tail belt on, we can put the main shaft bearing support on there, which is I've noticed a lot of brands are doing that now. So, and it's a great design. It just stiffens up the frame. It just stops any sort of flex or movement in there. So yeah, great idea, especially with these bigger diameter shafts that they're putting into. And then the next part is to put on our Flybarless mount. So I'm going to do all of those straight after the other. I'm not going to bore you with any more commentary because it's all pretty straightforward, but you can watch me do it. And then comes the part which probably takes me the longest because I'm just so particular with it, and that's the wiring. So if you see my video with my Il Goblin Pro, even Mr. Jeff West of West Hobbies RC, he even gave me a glowing review of the wiring that I did last time. So thanks a lot, Jeff. Anyway, so I'm going to keep going with that now, and we'll come out the other side ready to set up the Flybarless. Well, I'll see you soon. So I hit a little bit of a snag. When I was putting in the carbon tail rod, I went to click it onto the ball on the tail servo horn, and you know, it was sort of like not in a great position. So I tried to move it, and I thought, oh, why isn't this moving? And yeah, the bulkiness of the clamping section of the end of the servo horn was fouling against the base of the boom. So unfortunately, XPERT lovely alloy servo horns are no good for the tail on an Il Goblin. So fortunately, I had a few spare SAB plastic servo horns, so I've put one of those in its place. Onto the main shaft bearing support. There's our Flybarless mount. I've used the rubber dampeners in there. There is an option where it says that if you don't want to use the dampeners, you can set up a rigid Flybarless mount using the screws and bushings contained in bag 31-2. Anyway, but any time where I've had an SAB machine that has rubber dampeners in them, I've always used them. But one thing I do want to point out though is that these rubber dampeners can be damaged very, very easily if you get too heavy-handed with these screws, these countersunk screws when you put them in. So don't ask me how I know this. So what I would recommend you do is that when you use your driver and you go to tighten them up, so you put a bit of Loctite on as you always do, and then just your thumb and your forefinger and just tighten it up until it won't go anymore, and that's it. That's all you need. As long as it's made at home and it's just seating in there nicely, don't go any more than that. Otherwise you will tear those rubber dampeners to pieces. So I'm now up to the stage where I can say this heli is now mechanically complete. I can turn this and you can see the one-way bearing all move and the tail's all fine, and the only thing that's left now is to do the wiring. So as I said before, I'm going to spend some time to do a absolutely schmick wiring job, and I will come back and show you how it looks and show you how everything's set up, and then it's Flybarless setup time and maiden. Well, I hope you like how the wiring came up. I'm pretty happy with it actually. Pretty much just copied what I did on the Il Goblin Pro because, you know, it's the same airframe. I made a few little tweaks in a few areas that I wasn't happy with on the last one, and it's just come up mint on this one. I really, really like it. And what's also has really come apart with the rest of that, aesthetically wise anyway, is all of the black wiring that comes with the XPERT KD2 servos. So it really blends in with the black carbon frame, with the black washers that are exclusive on the KSE model. It's just got this really dark black and gold with a little splash of red in there for the Spirit GTR Flybarless. Yeah, and these nice little bronze metal servo arms give it a nice little touch as well. So the heli is now electrically and mechanically complete. So now we've just got to do the programming on the Flybarless. So we're up to the very last bag of the manual. Well, the last bag I'm going to use anyway, page 36, which has just got all the bolts for the blades to go on. So I'm going to go through. I've got my my Jeti radio here that I'm going to program the Flybarless through, so I don't need to use a laptop or anything like that. And my pitch gauge to get all of those settings right, and yeah, when I'm finished it's ready for maiden. Well, here it is. The Il Goblin KSE edition is all complete, electrically, mechanically, and now fully programmed. So there's only one thing left to do. Let's take it for a fly. Well, here we are at the end of the video. The very, very last thing that we do, and I tell you what I think of this. So the build, it was great. Absolutely great. Like all SAB builds I've ever done, it's been so clear and logical. The instructions are really well laid out. Can't fault the build process. All of the bags are all labeled, methodical, logical. Excellent. Really, really good. I notice a lot of other brands now are really starting to step up their build experience. I still think SAB have the edge though. What else do I love about this? It flies absolutely amazing. Coming from the Kraken 3 blade, which, you know, I didn't think there'd be another helicopter ever made that would look better than that, but this one looks 10 times better. And I'm not understating that either. This thing looks amazing in the air, especially after I put the clear coat on it. That makes all of the reds and the silver and the white, and especially the carbon fiber, it just lifts it out of the body, and it gives it this depth and a shine, especially when the sun hits it from a certain angle. It just looks amazing. Everyone who has seen it so far, they say, wow, what a great looking heli you got there. And I'm like, well, why, thank you. No, seriously, it looks amazing. The results speak for themselves. It is so stable in the air. I have done, as I've said in my other videos, I don't do anything special with the Flybarless. I put in just enough to make it fly, and then I do a little bit of fine tuning once I do the maiden flight. So I've tweaked the cyclic gain a little bit because 3 blades tend to have different requirements to what a 2 blade needs. But once I dialed that and the tail in, this thing is just solid, really, really solid. One thing it does like though is lots of head speed. So I found up around that 1900 RPM, it sounds amazing, and it also is just beautiful, really, really responsive, and it can really go pretty fast, pretty quick. So yeah, just love the way that it handles in the air. These, the rest of the components in this, as I said, the speed controller and the motor came out of my Il Goblin Pro because I thought having a bigger, more demanding drivetrain in a 3-blade was where it was at. And yeah, and it's doing the job fantastic. I really, it's a great choice. Love the new Tribunus 3, especially with the latest firmware that I've got in it. Kyle Dale and his team have sorted out that bump that you used to get on all of the older, the Tribunus 2, and well, even the first series Tribunus 3, when you used to take the throttle hold off, it would bump the motor so much that it would torque and kick the tail of the heli, just slightly, like only about that much, but it was just annoying. Anyway, but they've solved that, they've fixed it, and this drivetrain is bulletproof and super smooth, very responsive. Governor is, you couldn't ask for more. So yeah, love the Speedy and the motor. These servos though, wow. I do now understand why they have the price tag that they have. These KD2s are so well tuned and so darn quiet. Like there's not even a hint of sound when you've hit endpoints where when servos are starting to bind. There's none of that. Just the little tune that they make when you first power them on, and apart from that, they are super quiet, really silent operation. And they look great with the rest of the Scorpion gear being black and gold and silver. The XPERT servo horns on them, they went on really well, and they look trick. But as I said in the video, make sure that you only buy 3, if you're going to use those, of course. Because the tail will foul, the tail servo horn will foul on the boom, the way that the Il Goblin positions the servo. So yeah, just make sure you don't do what I did. Look, I don't have one bad thing to say about this build, apart from that servo horn, but hey, I was just trying something new out. But look, this thing went together so well. It flies amazing. It looks incredible. And I know I use those words a lot, I'm hearing it as I'm saying it, but I can't really think of anything else that I could give this heli. It's been such a pleasure to build, to fly, and to reflect on what I really love about it. So once again, thank you Dave at Mad for Heli for supporting rcheli.au with this review. Any SAB products, make sure you give Dave a call. He is a great asset to have in the community. He answers calls and answers questions at all times of the day. I've heard people who have contacted him at night not expecting a reply, and then 5 minutes later they've got a reply from him. So yeah, he's really good to have around. So anyway, thanks again Mad for Heli. Thank you for watching this review, and we'll see you next time.